Welcome, everybody. We are going to solve some more equations, but this time we're going to use some properties, and I'm highlighting them on here. Maybe I should just circle it. There are some properties that you've been told of in the past, but you haven't necessarily known you're actually using them. So we're going to use these words. We're going to use the addition property of equality, the subtraction property of equality, the multiplication property of what? Equality. And the division property of, not equations, but equality. There's one more property that we've been using, and you guys have been naming it in class, and I cannot figure out how to get this picture rotated no matter what I do with the iPad. It is just sitting there the wrong way. And so the other one we've been using, reading it sideways, is the distributive property. So now we're going to take a look at some equations and actually write out our algebraic steps, which is what you're used to, but now we're also going to write a reason, like what property are we using in that step. So I want you guys to keep in mind that, hey, you can do it. Look at that determined, adorable face. You can do this. All right, so you're like, I have no idea what we're doing. Well, here we go. You're going to see. So we'll start off with something very mild. So here's the easiest problem. We're going to work our way up. Hopefully have 3 problems. So here's the first one. Negative 2x plus 5 equals negative 1. And I'm going to ask you to solve it algebraically and telling me after each step which property you are using in that step. So, for example, in this problem, the first step I would take is to get this addition by 5 to go away from that negative 2x. So to get it to go away, I am going to subtract 5 to each side. Why? Because these will cancel out and be 0. So now the question is, and I'm going to write it right below this, which property am I using right here? What did I do right here to both sides? I subtracted by 5. So this is known as me using the subtraction property of equality. And we say equality because we did it to both sides of the equation to keep it equal. Okay, so there's our first step, and that is the reason we were able to do it, by the subtraction property of equality. And now, now I can simplify, and I'm at negative 2x equals negative 1 minus 5 is negative 6. All right, now I'm going to make use of another property. To get x alone, how do I get rid of multiplication by negative 2? Well, I'm going to divide by negative 2 on both sides. So which property would that be? You probably can just guess it because we divided. It's not the subtraction property of equality, but it's the division property of equality. That's the reason we can do it. And now once we simplify, we are at x equals, and negative 6 divided by negative 2 is 3. Cha-ching, and we have our answer. If we check it, negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, plus 5 turns out to be negative 1, and we're good to go. All right, keeping in mind, you can do this. Stay determined, people. Whew. Okay, here we go, stepping it up, mild. 2 plus 14x equals negative 8 plus 9x. Ooh, so I stepped it up on you by putting variables on both sides. Tough, Miss Everly, tough. Okay, so first step that I would do is get these together. So to do that, I don't just draw an arrow. Some of you like to just draw an arrow over and say, I brought it over. We need to know how the heck you brought it over. So 9x's I'm going to bring to the 14x's. And how am I going to do that? If I add 9x, and I add 9x over here, will the 9x and the 9x cancel out and vanish away so that I have no x's left on the right side? No, they won't. So I cannot add. I'm going to have to subtract 9x's on both sides. of the equation. So in that particular step, what property are we using? Well, we were using subtraction on both sides. So this is the subtraction property of equality. All right, next step. I simplify it, and I'm at 2, and 14x minus 9x is 5x. And then over here, I'm just left with negative 8 because we got that 9x to go away. Next step, I need to get rid of this 2 because now I have my x's on one side and I'm going to keep them over there. Now that 2 I want to go away. So I'm going to subtract 2 because 2 minus 2 is 0 and that'll make it go away. Okay, so from there, which property did we use? Oh my gosh, we used the subtraction property of equality again. That's a popular one. And now if we simplify, we're at 5x equals negative 8 minus 2 is negative 10. And we have one more step to get rid of the multiplication by 5. We are going to divide by 5. So what property are we using there? Well, we pretty much just said it. We were dividing. So this is the division property of equality. And we end up with x to be negative 2. And if we actually sub it back in, it should work. If I sub in negative 2 here, and I sub in negative 2 here, 14 times negative 2 is negative 28 plus 2, which is negative 26. And then on this side, negative 18 plus negative 8, what do you know? That's negative 26, so it works. All right, I told you we were doing 3. The last one is spicy. Remembering. What are you supposed to remember? Stay determined. Keep that cute little face going. And where is that face? I'm trying to find it. Oh my gosh, right there. So adorable. Stay determined. You got this. Nostrils flared. Eyes looking ahead. Determined. You can do this. Okay, here's the spicy. 8 times the quantity of 4 minus a equals 2a. La 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 la. Alright, so to solve, I'm going to have to simplify the left-hand side before I even solve anything. I'm going to have to multiply that 8 through to both terms on the inside. So I'm going to have 8 times 4, bring down the subtraction, and then 8 times a. And that'll be equal to 2a. So what am I doing in this step? What property am I using? I bet you know it. The distributive property. I'm just going to call it the D prop. Distributive prop. Now if I simplify this, I'm at 32 minus 8a equals 2a. Alright, now I notice that I have a's on this side, a's on that side. I need to get them together. So you know what? Think about where can you bring the a's to where they stay positive. Because that's what I want to do. I want to keep them positive. So if I bring this 2a over here, I'd have to subtract it. And if I subtract it, I'm not going to keep it positive. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to bring the negative 8a to the other side, meaning I'm going to have to add 8a to get those 8's to cancel. So what did I do in that step? What property did I use? Well, I added a certain amount to each side. So I used the addition property of equality. So now, simplifying, I'm at 32 equals 2a and 8a. It's 10a. And now I am going to solve for a. I have one final step. So the final step, I need to get rid of the multiplication by 10. So to do that, I'm going to divide by 10. So now I am left with 1a, but what property did I use? Well, we divided, so it's the division property of equality. And our A value is gonna be what? What the heck is the A value? Did you already figure it out? Probably. We got 32 over 10. So if we actually divide it out there, probably do that in your head. That is 3, and how many left over? 2 out of 10, which is really 3 1/5. And I will let you be done at that point and just be good. So see ya in class.